Welcome to Cricket World TV Hotspot with our look back at the World Cup quarter-finals with me, John Pennington, in England and Chetan Narula in Auckland. Hello, Chetan.
Hello, John, and welcome to our viewers. And in this look back at the quarterfinals, not a very interesting stage. Just some moments in all those four matches. We can only hope that going forward with three matches remaining, it'll be even more interesting, more close games, and not just one-sided affairs.
I agree with you entirely, Chetan. We'll be looking ahead to the semi-finals in a separate hotspot, so keep an eye out for that a bit later. Chetan, let's start off with South Africa against Sri Lanka, and I have to say, give you due credit here because you predicted South Africa to win this one. I was convinced Sri Lanka, with all their big match experience, would go through here, but in reality, they were completely outplayed, weren't they?
Absolutely, the intensity on show, the determination from South Africa. I remember the day before the match, A.B. de Villiers came to the press conference and he was like, "We're not going to lose. We're not going to lose." I mean, you would think that he's just trying to convince himself that okay, his team is not going to choke again. But they got onto the field. Their bowling hasn't clicked so far, and the way they'll stay in Monemokal and wow, Kyle Abbott's brilliant spell to Kumar Sangakkara. I mean, it was, for me, the spell of the tournament before Wahab Riaz turned up against Australia. So, I mean, Kumar Sangakkara, on the back of 400s, consecutive hundreds, could not put bat to ball on that spell from Kyle Abbott. And, it just, and not just the bowling, even their fielding was top-notch. They weren't letting easy runs to come off. Sangakkara was just playing the waiting game, just waiting for the bad balls to come. They didn't come. He was trying to rotate the strike. He wasn't able to. It just got stuck. Sri Lanka just got stuck. And once they got stuck, with the wickets falling at regular intervals, especially against the spinners, that was the big surprise that they weren't able to play the spinners. And that match just really took me back to 2011. I remember the day of the final against India in Mumbai, and if you look at the team sheets and 4 changes, Sri Lanka made 4 changes. Just changed their team from the tournament, the whole tournament, on the day of a big knockout match. And they did that again. Yes, they had Rangana Herath injured, so they just brought in, Terendu Kaushal. I cannot, begin to tell you, I was on my way from my accommodation to the stadium, and Terendu Kaushal replaced Rangana Herath in that duration, that 20-minute duration. I got 2 mails to say that, okay, Rangana Herath is out, Terendu Kaushal is in. It just goes to tell you what muddled thinking Sri Lanka were going in with, and all credit to South Africa who made sure that okay, irrespective of whatever is happening in the other camp, we're gonna be steady, we're gonna be determined, and they were, and they went through.
Important for Sri Lanka, I think, for Quinton de Kock to come into some form because if Villiers score runs, Ramley score runs, we've sort of said they're a little bit shaky at the top. A word also on, obviously, the farewell for Mahela Jayawardene and Kumar Sangakkara. Perhaps their best moment together came against South Africa when they scored that monster partnership in Test cricket. This will obviously be a massive low and a disappointing way for them to exit ODI cricket at least.
Absolutely. I mean, this tournament has been all about Sangakkara and Jayawardene from a Sri Lankan perspective. Sangakkara has just been a magician in this tournament. He's a master batsman. Otherwise as well, but I had the chance to see 2 of his hundreds, and especially against England, and he was just and against Bangladesh, he was just in superb form, just in so much control, scoring at will. He put on a masterclass in this tournament. He wanted to win this tournament single-handedly, but Sri Lanka, sadly enough, they were not good enough to, as a unit, to progress. Jayawardene had one big moment against Afghanistan. Rose to the challenge when his team was struggling. He's not been in that sort of a flamboyant mood that, as usual, perhaps goes to show that it was the right time for him to call time on his career. But there are arguments that Sangakkara could have continued, but players who have played for so long, they should have a right to decide when they want to go and how they want to go. And perhaps he was not able to decide how he wanted to go, but yeah, when he wanted to go, he went out with a bang, and yeah, it was a great sight. Everybody stayed back. gave him a great reception, gave both of them a great reception, not only from Sri Lankan supporters or neutral supporters, but also from the South African team and their fans.
And great to see a legend of the game given a fitting send-off in terms of, as you say, the players and the fans paying, not a winning one for him. We moved on then to India against Bangladesh, Chetan, and you pinpointed the first 30 overs perhaps when India were batting as quite important for this game. And to be fair to Bangladesh, they actually did okay in that time, but thereafter the game sort of got away from them, and obviously that 100 from Rohit Sharma was critical.
Yeah, a couple of umpiring decisions. I'm just going to mention that. It's been such a huge debate. On my flight from Wellington to Auckland, I met a Bangladeshi fan, and I was just afraid that he would mention that. There's been a huge debate about it, but yeah, they got a couple of bad decisions. Rohit Sharma with that no ball, and Suresh Raina with that 50-50 LBW decision. So these things happen. They were both 50-50 decisions. Everybody should move on right now. But had those decisions gone the other way, India would have been in deep trouble. They just slowed down. Bangladesh came back very well, and I thought Suresh Raina played one of the best knocks ever that he could play. I mean, obviously it came against Bangladesh, but he's played such knocks in important matches all the time. Ahmedabad, Mohali in the last 2 World Cups. Mini roles, secondary roles, but he did that. Adelaide, Auckland, and again now in Melbourne. So he's had 5 amazing pressure situation knocks, and he's, I think, a very valuable player for India in the World Cup. You would struggle to find such players who've performed over the course of 2 tournaments. There've been few for India, but not everybody can do that. But Raina did in the last tournament as well as for India, and he's the one who brought them on, got them the momentum, and even against a mediocre attack which was not fielding well. In fact, it reflected the way Afghanistan bowled to Bangladesh in their pool game. For the first 30-35 overs, they controlled them, and once a partnership just got going, the game got away from them. It was just the reverse situation in that case, and I'm not sure if this happens to India against a stronger opponent. Hint. Whether they'll be able to replicate that. So that's the interesting point of view. But otherwise, once they got 300 on the board, Bangladesh had no chance.
And spot on there, Chetan. So moving on, we had Australia beating Pakistan. You talked already, briefly mentioned that wonderful spell from Wahab Riaz, but in the end it wasn't quite enough. But it might have been a bit different had Rahat Ali, I think, held that catch. What do you reckon?
I'm not sure. First of all, I was flying for 15 hours that day, so I missed quite a bit of the game. Flight deflected diverted at the last moment from Wellington to Auckland, and then flying all the way back. Anyways, when I was told about that spell, and I started watching after Watson had been dropped. When I was told about that spell, the first thing I asked was, how troubled was Steve Smith by Wahab Riaz's spell? Did Wahab Riaz only trouble Shane Watson, or did he also trouble Steve Smith at the other end? And the answer I got was, nah, nothing. Steve Smith was absolutely nonchalant in the way he played, and that to me is the answer. Australia bats so deep that sooner or later somebody is going to get stuck. It was Smith, then you drop Watson and Maxwell, so they also got stuck. If you remove them, you still have somebody like a Faulkner or a Haddon. Somebody would get stuck. That is the strength of their batting order. So if they were chasing 300, that's a whole different story. But they were chasing 214. So on the day, despite that spell, terrific spell, best fast bowling spell in this tournament so far. But chasing 214, Australia were never in danger. It was their game, true and true. Even if Watson was caught, Maxwell could have smacked even a few more. Maybe he wouldn't have even given the chance. You never know how these things pan out. Or maybe it would have been Faulkner who would have played a blinder and got runs of both Watson and Maxwell combined. So with Australia, they bat so deep. They are just so strong that 214 was never going to be a trouble for them.
Spot on there, Chetan, I think. And the other thing, of course, it's all very well having Wahab Riaz, putting Shane Watson and Michael Clarke under some pressure at one end, but if it's not backed up with other players, and you have to admit, obviously, Pakistan missing a huge amount of their, virtually all of their other frontline bowlers, Umar Gul, Junaid Khan, Syed Ajlan not there, of course, it does sort of...
Mohammad Irfan.
And Mohammad Irfan, of course, pulling out at the last minute as well. So, yeah, I guess you'd say with Pakistan, that's probably about as far as they, given that run of injuries and all the other things going on before coming into the tournament, they've sort of got to where you'd have expected them to get to. But Australia are certainly looking very, very strong as they go into their semi-final. And final quarter-final then, New Zealand against the West Indies, and this one pretty much just turned into the Martin Guptill show. What did you make of that innings and this performance?
Well, I had waited quite some time to witness an ODI double hundred, so yeah, got to see that. Never ever I thought it would be Martin Guptill. Rohit Sharma, yes, Sachin Tendulkar, Virendra Sehwag, Chris Gale. I mean, Rohit Sharma is not your big hitter, but when he gets going, he just plunders runs very, very easily. He has so much time, so it's not a surprise that he's gone on to play those knocks. But Martin Guptill, I mean, he has hundreds in every format. He doesn't even have an IPL contract. I mean, he's not your typical Rohit Sharma mole or your typical Chris Gale mole. I mean, it was just an astonishing knock. Once he got set, once he got going, he was playing to a plan. He didn't want to spend too much time. And I thought, West Indies, when they got Kane Williamson and Brendan McCullum, I thought, half their job is done. Obviously, they had dropped Guptill before, so that was expensive. But they thought that, okay, McCullum and Williamson, we've got them. Maybe Guptill will score some few runs and we'll chase 320, 350, 320, not 350, 320. And suddenly this man starts hitting the ball everywhere. And yeah, 393 was always going to be too tough. West Indies was scoring at a very, very fast clip, but they probably needed to bat twice or thrice and, forget everything. That catch from Daniel Vittori, wow.
It's all looking pretty good, isn't it, for the semi-finals, Chef? And just before we finish this particular hotspot, you talk about Vittori's catch there, Wahab Riaz's great bowling spell, a moment from South Africa's win. What would you pick out as your maybe highlight of the quarterfinals? The one moment that you'll sort of maybe remember above all others, if I can put you on the spot there?
Well, Daniel Vittori's catch has to be the one. I mean, obviously the double hundred was something to behold, but I was just wondering if I'm 30 now. In 5.5 years time, I'll be the age of Daniel Vittori. There's no way I can ever leap up and take a 100 catch. I mean, no chance in it. I mean, obviously, I'm not even a left-arm spinner of the class of Vittori, but the agility, the determination, just jumped up and got it. Yeah, moment of the quarterfinals for me in particular. But yeah, like you said, Kyle Abbott, Suresh Raina, and Wahab Riaz, Martin Guptill, other players to stand out. But if I had to select one wow moment from the quarterfinals, had to be Daniel Vittori's catch.
Good stuff. That's just giving me an idea about something we can do when you're next over here in England, Chef. We can go into the studio and see if we can replicate some of these magic moments between us and see just how close we can get.
Absolutely, why not? Wait 2 years for that.
Yes, good stuff. Okay, Chetan, well, thank you for your assistance in really giving us a flavour of the quarterfinals and our little review. We'll catch up with you soon for the semi-finals. But for now, thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure.
And thank you for watching us here once again on Cricket World TV.